Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back for your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about the vast majority of cryptocurrencies, as well as the major deal around what's going to be happening within this market over the next couple of days, weeks, months, and even years ahead. As we do look at this market, I do think that we are at this point in time where most people don't care about crypto. They're out doing their thing. They're waiting for, the big news to strike mainstream media. That way they can buy the top, or at least near the top. This happens every single time. Most people, the best way to shake retail out is just by time. Most people are just impatient with these markets. They don't care to wait for the big money to show up. The big money seems as though it has been showing up, which we will talk about. But for me personally, what I've been looking at within this market is, this market is extremely stagnant right now. This is what I said. And I also said, if you are here now, then you are ahead of most of the general public. This market will make new millionaires again, but sadly, it will also trap a lot of top buyers. Now is the time to focus, research, and study this market heavily. And yes, I've been looking into a ton of altcoins. I've been waiting to buy some significant lows, which I will go over in this video as well, on why I do think that a lot of these altcoins will most likely see some potential lows being targeted. But I've been looking at XRP, I've been looking at HBAR, been looking at Casper, XDC, QNT, and of course a ton of other tokens. I've been looking at Render, I've been looking at the graph, I've been looking at a lot of tokens. I'm into the big data scene, AI, even gaming. There's a few gaming tokens that are out there that don't look too bad, but for the most part, I'm mainly focused on utility. But now is probably not the time to be hyper focused on altcoins, as we do continue to see Bitcoin dominance gaining some traction. But I will say an interesting thing that I've been looking at is the others dominance. So here is the altcoin dominance. These are the altcoins. And as you guys do see, we've been kind of riding this trend. It's a macro trend going all the way back to 2017. Now, if we do lose this, I will be very interested to see on how low we go. I do have this point at 6.21%. That's where I'm really kind of looking at altcoins. But, for the most part, I'm looking at the trend. I'm looking at where we are at. I do think that we could see a significant bounce off of this area. But I'm still looking at Bitcoin dominance and waiting for this thing to top. I think a lot of people were expecting this thing to top around like 49%, but we were still waiting for around like 52% over here. But this could definitely go a lot higher. One thing that I will note is that this level at which we are breaking out of on Bitcoin dominance, this was the same level going all the way back to 2018, during the summer of 2018. And as you guys do see, like, this is summer of 2018. Look at altcoins, right? Altcoins just continue to go down and down and down in terms of dominance. This is also them losing a lot of value within the market, and a lot of that value going over to Bitcoin. As we do look at Bitcoin during that time, this thing started to continue to gain a lot of traction. And it did have downward spikes too, where a lot of the altcoin dominance chart also had some spikes to the upside, meaning some value was going to other altcoins. But for the most part, Bitcoin continued to have this breakout in terms of Bitcoin dominance. And it finally topped out around like 74% during December of 2020. And of course, history is written, which you guys already know what happened during that time with this massive downfall. But like any time in this market, you will have the trend continue sideways until we get that big break. What I like to see here is the fact that we are starting, I don't want to say that we're starting a new cycle, but we could very well be on the journey to a new Bitcoin cycle, which we will have to wait for Bitcoin to have its massive run, for it to have a local top, and then of course watch Bitcoin dominance drastically decrease in percentage. That way we could start to see altcoins really starting to rally if you are an altcoin holder. During this time, honestly, it would be most likely best to have some Bitcoin in your portfolio if you don't already, which is totally fine if you don't. I'm just saying, we will most likely see Bitcoin have a massive run before any altcoins do, like typical. Now, also, I did say, going all the way back to April of this year, this is still true today more than ever before. I've seen a lot of individuals trying to make up a narrative around the Bitcoin halving and things like that. Do we need to be stuck on the 4-year cycle? No, we don't. I even said, like, I see everyone constantly stuck on the 4-year cycle / Bitcoin halving nonsense. It's purely coincidental that it all aligns with the liquidity cycle. Just take a look at the global liquidity cycle chart below. What happens when the cycle breaks / changes? Then so does the 4-year cycle theory, and Bitcoin halving becomes a big nothing event. This is why Credible Crypto and only a few other TAs have been calling for a Wave 5 expansion this year to new all-time highs. Now, I've said it. Don't know if we do get all-time highs on Bitcoin, but I will say it is also possible that we get a massive run on Bitcoin, which, you know, to me personally, as we look at Bitcoin right now, I've been looking at a few things with this chart. Mainly, the first thing I will say is at our current point in time, a lot of people think that we have already bottomed out, which is totally fine. I actually think that we are at or near the bottom on Bitcoin anyways, on the local bottom. What I'm looking at is a possible retest again of around like 25.3K before we do really rock it. But I do think that we will most likely have a continuation here into local resistance. That local resistance would be around like 28.3K or so. I mean, it could go a little bit higher as we've seen wicks in the past. But I'm expecting a nice retest of this area up here and then a rejection down. That way we get some steam for the upside break. So something like this, where we kind of trail and then have that big break, would be accepted in my opinion. I think that this should be welcomed in as well, because it does allow you to accumulate some Bitcoin if you wanted to get into Bitcoin. Again, I don't think that there's a lot of money to be made in Bitcoin unless you already have quite a bit of money to set aside for Bitcoin. But in my opinion, this is what I'm looking at on a Bitcoin right now for a nice retest of the local high, aka resistance, and then a retest of that local support down here at around roughly, you know, 25.2, 25.3K. It's just back testing major resistance that we've seen during 2022 as well as 2023. Recently back in February, before we had that rejection during March where we had the bank collapses, and then we had that skyrocketing candle to the top of like roughly 31K. Now, when we do start to break out, I will say, watch that 31K region for a nice breakout of that level. We need to reclaim this and break out of it before we get very bullish on Bitcoin. But that's what I'm looking at right now on Bitcoin. Don't get too excited on altcoins. This is also why I say that we will most likely see altcoins take a little bit further of a hit, because if we do get a nice retest down here, it will be about roughly 11%. Most altcoins will see an 11 to 20% discount on their price. So with that, I also want to go back to what I was saying here, which is, as 99% of crypto Twitter and TAs say no bull run this year, that we are all still 400 plus days away from any major expansion, I tend to go against the herd. Best way to prepare for this is prepare for this to be a possibility and or fail. Have stables on the sidelines ready to buy to major bottom. In case we do see a Wave 5 expansion, have your long-term positions in place that you have the most confidence in. Also ensure you are diversified outside of crypto. I will be doing a full video on why all-time highs are possible this year and why 99% of crypto Twitter could be wrong / completely caught off guard. And again, you know, as we do look at the liquidity cycle, for the longest time, yes, it has pertained to the 4-year cycle run on liquidity. It's all centered out on liquidity, right? It's the crucial thing that all of these markets run on. Once this does change, and if it does change, which in my opinion, I do believe that at some point in time it will, it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. And this is what should be welcomed in, because again, if you look at these markets, what is the best way to shake everyone out? By changing things. Things will change. Everyone is so everyone got caught up in this idea of just following the 4-year cycle, rinse and repeat, and just make money. But it's not going to be that easy forever. I think that those that were early on in this market have done very well doing this, but I think at some point in time this is going to change. And I think that that's when we will see a lot of the retail sector get shaken out or hurt drastically financially. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying that that would be on par with what we've always said around like following the herd. Usually the herd is always wrong. Now also, one thing that I did see over on Twitter that I found very interesting was from Roman Trading. But you see, remember when Bitcoin was trading between 50 to 60K and bullish news didn't move the market anymore? It's because the top was in/near. You're seeing the opposite now. Bearish news no longer impacts the market because the bottom is in/near. The dollar is showing not only a bear flag, but money flow shows out. I've been saying this for the last 3 to 4 months that the market is going to be led by investor capital, not economic gains. Good luck. And you know what's interesting about this? I also seen another individual say, there's like $6 trillion in 401ks. 1 to 2% of this capital could easily make its way into Bitcoin through the BlackRock spot ETF. Financial advisors will be incentivized to put this idea forward as they can finally get their cut. Don't overthink it. It's a huge catalyst. And you know, I've had my ideas around this BlackRock ETF. We don't know what's going to happen with this, but it could be the thing that sends us back down to 23K. Or to 25.3K, or it could be the thing that sends us well above $30,000. So we need to watch for this closely. Again, to me personally, as we look at this market and where we are at now, we are starting to see the big money making moves. Most people don't even care about it, right? MasterCard recently had a trademark application for crypto. Meanwhile, yes, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF prospects boost institutional investor sentiment. Meanwhile, also, BlackRock files to launch Bitcoin ETF with possibly Coinbase and NASDAQ listed as partners. And of course, Fidelity. Fidelity rumored to file Bitcoin spot ETF in US, bid for Grayscale as well. A lot of people are looking into this. We already know that Fidelity is very bullish on crypto. They, back in 2022, actually, they were offering a lot of crypto exposure to clients as well. And they did want to get in on the custody game. And of course, Hong Kong recently put pressure on 3 major banks to take on crypto exchanges as clients. Again, on June 15th. Meanwhile, another thing to watch for, which I don't think is over, is the bank crisis. Again, another very, very incredible, this is one of those narratives that I've been watching for a while, because as we go back to the Bitcoin price chart, this candle here, that sent us nearly to $30,000 on just one weekly candle. This candle here was all because of that bank collapse. And this, going off the bottom of that bank collapse to the top here, was about a 43% increase in value. Very significant move. And again, de-dollarization. Everyone has been focused heavily on de-dollarization as well. Most of this market, again, a lot of people are looking at this market and they think that, you know, it's dead, it's done, it's finished. I've been mainly looking at the dollar. I've been watching this closely. You know, we're kind of going into this trend now. The one thing to watch for on the dollar is that when we do start to trend like this, you know, that we don't have something like this where we do have that breakout. What we want to see is a breakdown on the dollar. De-dollarization definitely could help this, but we definitely have to watch this closely over the next couple of days, weeks, and possibly even months ahead. It's not going to go to zero overnight or anything like that, but I have been watching the trend. I've been also watching the local resistance levels. So far, we are still making lower highs. Hopefully, now we can make a lower low. That will be very bullish for the overall market. There's a lot of factors to look into, though. In my opinion, if you just want to ignore the noise, then you can just ignore the noise. You could accumulate your bags at levels that you feel confident about. I'm still looking for some nice lower price action until I go heavy. But I've been saying to you guys that I'm already in some heavy positions already. I'm practically, at this point, I think 60-40 maybe, somewhere around that. I still have staples on the sidelines waiting to buy. I'm fine if those don't buy in at all. Again, you cannot be concerned with having money on the sidelines. Right now, there's over like $5 or $6 trillion on the sidelines waiting to buy, hoping for a recession, which are in money market funds anyway. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on. If you guys have more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. This is up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.